Hello, I'm Martin Wucher, and today we're going to answer some questions that we've had from our Puzzle of Life platform. The first one we're going to go about is kids and picky eating. Before we, however, delve into this, there's always a disclaimer. If you really want to read it, just stop the video and have a look. So what parents often ask is, why is my kid so choosy? Why don't they just eat what gets put, what's put on the table? Why do they always want different foods and so on? And in many families, if parents want the best for their kids, like most parents do, this can end up as a real fight in the family. A fight that plays out at the dining room table whenever kids get home in the afternoon and they want a big snack and so on. So let's delve into this and decide what is really important. First of all, looking at observations and science, the first thing we notice, it happens in many kids. It can be from 5% to even 25%. And certain kids will do it, others are pretty easy, they eat anything. And you might have noticed in their own family that some members of the family just eat about everything. Others, it's a battle to get food into their mouth. And then the third group is you battle to stop eating. You don't want them to eat that much. That also is an issue. It happens from 3 years onwards, some kids even earlier, some kids even from birth. But in the end, the research that I've seen doesn't show any detrimental effect as long as the food that is in the house is healthy food. So it's not what they pick that's bad for them, but what's in the house and therefore available. There are many ways around it. So what we would suggest is let it happen and take it from there. The basic thing for our brain is, and the question, why does our brain do it? First of all, our brain has got one basic function. That's probably the most important function. And that is to protect us from harm. If it doesn't do that, we won't last very long in this world. And the area that does it is this area in the midbrain here. It's called the amygdala. We've got our emotions in this part. We've got all our automatic reactions, and then the brainstem. The brainstem does all our automatic stuff, your blood pressure, your breathing, your heart rate, and all that sort of stuff. So this is the thing, those are the things that keep us alive and that happen automatically, and they are coordinated by our senses. Now, once again, we've got a whole lot of senses. Number one, we've got the eyes here, we've got our smell here, we've got our taste here, and we've got our ears here. So we hear what other people say about the food. And if somebody at the table says, ugh, it's horrible, then a little guy will pick that up and it'll run from there. So the senses create the aversion to the foods, and then they take it from there. The other side to these preventive mechanisms is the likes. In other words, the attraction to the foods. And modern foods have got a very specific attraction. The modern processed foods are designed so they taste nice, they are cheap, and they're all over the show. In other words, they're abundant, and we have them all the time. So let's at the brain protection part. So let's look at brain protection. If you had to eat everything that came onto the table, and we see it in little guys, they stick everything into their mouth, and sometimes we have to intervene to prevent it. When they grow up, their own brain starts taking over. They watch their parents, they watch their peers, their kids, and so on, other brothers and sisters, and they take it from there. It changes over time, so it doesn't matter if you do it as an early child. Maybe later you will learn to like this food. The texture, the way it looks, the way it feels, the body's reaction to it, whether it excites you or gives you nausea, it's all stored in a memory, and from there it gets passed on to future years and the time that you all have in your life. So habits, families eat different foods. When you go from one family to the other, you will see that the meals are different, and some of those things you might enjoy and some of those you might not. And then sometimes you're just having a bad day. The issue is that modern foods are all over the show. They are available and they are addictive. So if you watch your kids and you watch other kids, depending on what you have in their home, you will see that this sort of stuff gets eaten regularly and often everybody eats it. And this is because of design. These foods are highly, highly sophisticated in the way they appease you, they make you crave them. And of course, it's a business, and therefore people go for them, and especially kids who haven't learned what's good or bad for them. They will go for them and they will love them. They taste great. They normally give you a sugar spike, and with the sugar comes a dopamine spike. And dopamine, as we've discussed in other places, is a pretty addictive hormone. It makes you feel good in the short term, so you like it, and your brain's very clever. Remember, that brain that is protecting you is also extremely clever in getting you to the stuff that you like. So when you give something to a child, they will involuntarily pick out the stuff that gives you a dopamine rush. It also may let you feel energized. If you eat a nice roll with jam on, honey on, you will feel energized for half an hour, maybe even an hour. And then comes the sugar crash. Because the sugar was high, insulin gets elevated, and an hour later, everything crashes. And then you're back to square one. So you go through these cycles, and they might influence your and your child's daily, you could say, energy cycles as you go through the day. And in the end, children may be addicted to certain foods. So as a parent, you've got a unique opportunity, I would nearly say responsibility. What is in your fridge depends very much on you. Remember, you pay for it. I haven't seen many households where the kids pay for the foods. And if you pay for it, you decide what gets into the shopping basket. So if you want to prevent meal fights and long discussions over foods and what to eat and what not to eat, the first step, and I would nearly say the most important, is just to make sure whatever gets into your house is healthy and is definitely the stuff you want on the table as a mother or a father. So you're the boss in the house. Use that leverage to help your kids be healthier and happier for life. Relax about it. It's no use having a huge fight about it. There are other things that are more important. And I've said here, make sure everything is in your house is healthy. Yes, of course, when they go out, when they go to friends, they might get some other stuff. But if you have an 80% of healthy food in your home, those 20% that they get outside will not make the huge difference. They will also learn what is good food, their tastes will adapt to it, and then they will like it. If you try and change a kid and get it to eat other stuff that they didn't like before, just go and mix it. If you want to introduce some vegetables, steam them, chop them up, add some tomato sauce, add some scrambled egg, make a mixture. And then slowly over time, it takes sometimes 8 to 10 efforts until they adapt it, but they will. Keep going. You will win in the end. So it's not a race, it's a marathon. Try and keep on track and make sure that the stuff that's easy and that's tasty and that's easy to get hold of in your fridge, in your home, and that's available when they are hungry is healthy stuff. So thank you very much. The battle over food doesn't start in the house. It starts in the shopping trolley, in your supermarket, or in your local shop, wherever you get the stuff. So thanks for listening. If you want to learn more about health tips and how to keep your family healthy and happy, join our platform and love to see you there. Have an amazing day. Thank you very much.